There's problem with what? Sorry, I didn't get that. Idris, you're supposed to turn on your camera too while you are presenting.
Sorry, something is wrong with my camera. I don't know. Let me go out and come in again.
Okay.
Hello.
Are you ready now? Yeah, I'm waiting. I'm waiting for you. If you're ready, you can begin.
All right. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Today we discussing about no code AI. Generally, the term AI or artificial intelligence has become more popular over the years. So the need and the use of artificial intelligence in businesses and technology, in medicine and different fields of discipline is increasing over time. So generally, when we talk about artificial intelligence, we're talking about systems, robots, machines, computers, your mobile devices being capable of making intelligent decisions, adapting to several conditions, analyzing the situation and being able to make the right decision or prediction or whatsoever. So for instance, on our mobile devices, your phone, when you're probably on WhatsApp, texting a message, while typing, your phone is able to predict what you are trying to say. So by the time you type "ow," for instance, you notice there's an option that says "ah." You click on "ah," it brings out to you, gives you a question mark. So it is able to predict that, okay, you're probably trying to tell the person, "How are you?" Or at times they might, if someone sends you a message, you can just predict a reply. Rather than opening WhatsApp, you can just scroll your screen and you see the option to just click OK and instantly reply the person. So those are various ways artificial intelligence comes into place. We can look at facial recognitions for security. So you can unlock your phone now. It's just unlock your phone now with just your screen looking at your face and it's okay. Wow, this is wisdom. Allowing access. We have self-driving cars. We have chatbots. We have systems now that can detect pneumonia in patients from looking at the X-ray scan. So generally the use of AI is on the rise over the years. We've talked about several instances. We have conversational bots, self-driving cars, human language processing, image recognition. Those are just one of the few things we can use AI for. But generally, the major problem, or not a problem, or one of the downfalls is to generally create an artificial intelligence system, you require a high level of expertise and high cost of production in terms of maintenance, updating, making changes to your system, improving your system. Generally, it comes with high level of expertise and a high level of production. And sadly, not all businesses can actually afford that at the moment, or startups, for instance. So, and apart from that, there are also other several challenges that comes with AI, but the major part of it is a high level of expertise and a high level of production, which is not accessible to everybody. And another problem is the need is actually greater than the supply of artificial intelligence experts or data scientists currently available. So we have a lot of data science scientist jobs in quotes, or artificial intelligence jobs in quotes, but generally the amount of people that have vast knowledge in that area is little compared to that. So generally it becomes a problem because for a startup, for instance, or a starting business to probably pull in someone in probably another company, for instance, as a data scientist, you generally have to pay a lot to employ that person's knowledge even into your field. So one possible solution for that is no code AI. From the name, basically, it says no code artificial intelligence. So generally, we are talking about a system or a platform that allows people with little programming or coding knowledge, or people with no knowledge at all, to be able to implement AI into their systems. Just so it covers the problems of making of the high level of expertise and the high level of production, in a sense. So generally for some projects, little artificial intelligence projects that don't require so much of technicalities or complexities, rather than trying to seek out an expert that will build that for you and end up paying probably a lot of money. With no code AI platforms, you can implement that without any stress. So generally, no code AI is a category of artificial intelligence that aims to make AI more accessible to the public. And generally, it employs a no-code environment platform with a visual code-free, typically a drag-and-drop interface. So non-technical people can quickly categorize, evaluate, and construct accurate models to make predictions with no-code AI. So we already spoken about that. It's making it accessible to the public. So this is an image that shows what it looks like. So you can see for custom coding, you can see there's a lot of work here, and for low code, you have a lot of work here. But for no AI, you are basically using a drag and drop feature, which makes the availability of no code AI to go on a rise, of artificial intelligence rather, to be on a rise. So no code AI enables non-technical people, we've said that before, to quickly classify, analyze, and easily build accurate models. So the IBM Cloud Pak automation module is a modular set of integrated software components to automate work. So basically, it's like a module-based no-code AI platform. It just allows you to, the system is built in modules, so you can pick out what you need, integrate it together, and build a system for your own personal need. Other examples of no-code AI platforms are DataRobot, no-code AI, Akio, and Site AI. So another interesting thing is the process, comparing the processes in developing a proper AI and comparing it to a no-code AI process. So you have, for the normal process, you have data preparation, feature engineering, pre-processing, model selection, parameter tuning, model training, model development, and workflow. Whereas for no-code AI, basically you just need to upload your data. You have a drag and drop model training, you have a result analysis, then your workflow integration, which makes things a lot more faster. So no-code AI in business. So it makes it feasible to build AI models without necessarily having trained personnel. That is beneficial for businesses currently because there's just not enough data science talent out there. So according to Forbes, we have 83% of businesses say AI is a strategic priority for businesses today. So generally, we've said it before that businesses generally improve or they get better when they integrate AI into their systems. It automates a lot of their processes and makes things easier. Another advantage of having no-code AI is, for instance, it reduces the workload of data scientists or engineers in a company. So rather than having your data scientists handle all of the data science or artificial intelligence systems in a company, even with those that have low complexity or those that shouldn't take much time, you can easily implement that using no-code AI in the company and have your data scientists focus more on projects that actually need high level of complexity and technicalities where their skill set are better showed. It also solves a communication problem between a technical person and a business person. Generally, a technical person is looking at the complexity, how he wants to build it, if it's going to work properly, whereas a business person simply wants to just solve this problem. So at times it becomes at times those differences cause a bridge in communication where the business person can't really understand what is a technical person is trying to tell you. So in some cases, a business person being exposed to no-code AI can test out his idea, how it will look like, how it will flow. So it helps him better understand what a data scientist is saying. That, okay, this won't work properly, or let's do this way. But so having him exposed to a no-code AI or R helps them to understand. It helps communication look easier. You can have a draft of, okay, this is what we want to do. We generally want it to look this way. So like we said, there's not just enough data science talent out there. So another thing is at times, because of the amount of knowledge or the skill set needed to build a proper artificial intelligence system, it becomes very discouraging for people to go into it, even though you have the interest. So at times, it involves you learning a lot of complex algorithms, a lot of programming languages. You have Python, you have Java, and all that for developing AI. At times, you have to need mathematical knowledge, and depending on what you are building, at times that knowledge needs to be on the rise. At times, you need to call in some experts, some PhD based mathematicians or statistics people or data analysts to help out with building artificial intelligence. But with no-code AI, it makes it more encouraging for individuals and businesses to start, okay, there's no-code AI, I can pick it up from there, build your interest. And eventually, if you want to go into full-time coding, programming, and developing those systems with the programming language from the scratch, then that's fine. But then with no-code AI, the entry level for anybody interested in artificial intelligence has been reduced. So we have more people that can actually carry out and build artificial intelligence-based systems and making them more employable. So benefits of no-code AI solutions, we have empowering experts to develop apps, cost savings, faster technology adoption, and helping data scientists focus on other problems. So we've spoken about this before. Building custom AIs requires writing code, cleaning data, categorizing, structuring the data, training and debugging the model. This takes even longer for those who are not even familiar with data science. At times, building an AI can take months or at times years for it to be properly trained and gain a lot of data and experience before it can finally be production ready or available in the market. But with no-code AI, that the time frame is covered by a whole lot. So with no-code AI, most of those things are already in place. You just need to upload your data, then models are trained and makes the process faster. With proper, in a normal development process, it takes quite some time to train data, gather information, structure it, and then allow the model to learn from the information you have been given. So it might take a whole lot of time. So studies claim that no-code AI has reduced the production or development time by about 90%. And another obvious benefit is savings. Companies need fewer data scientists when they can have business users build machine learning models. So with no-code AI, you don't need too many experts in your company per se. Yeah, so by lowering the programming skills necessary, making the design process more visual and simple, no-code development allows larger audience of users to participate in building application functionality, and it also allows businesses with limitless. It gives limitless business potential, regardless of the size of the IT project. Companies may even discover more inventive methods to utilize code AI in order to become industry leaders. Then another thing to add is no-code AI generally will not replace the conventional need for experts in a sense. It can't, because generally you can't use no-code AI to build something like a self-driving car. For instance, you will run into a lot of problems. Some issues may arise like flexibility. At times when using no-code AI platforms, flexibility becomes an issue because at times most of those models are built to function in a particular way. So one of the problems you might encounter with those things is flexibility of use. But generally, it reduces the need or the amount of experts you might need in a company, particularly in small setups that need AI-based people. And it also empowers people to go into AI generally. No code AI, you can get a job currently, you can earn some money, you can learn, you can experiment, you can build whatever you need to build. So thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much for presentation, Idris. Thank you for telling us about no code AI. So at least I'm sure you proceed to ask them questions or ask if anybody has questions to ask. So does anybody have a question for Idris?
Low code AI. I have.
Okay.
Okay, someone.
Mr. Island, go on.
No. You first, Mr. Alex. Man first.
All right. Mr. Wisdom, you mentioned, I think the last part that you mentioned that code AI is not going to take the job of the data scientist. Actually, that has been one question I've been wanting to ask since the beginning of the presentation. We said AI to take the in now
Sorry, you are echoing. I can't hear you clearly.
Yeah, I think someone is also unmuted. That's why. What's this interference? Yeah, I think someone is also unmuted. That's why. It's interference.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Yes, I can. There's still this echo there.
Hello?
I think I can hear you. Possibly, I think it's network. But I can hear you clearly.
Oh, I think he wants to join back. Okay.
Okay. Or should I ask my question?
Yes, you can go ahead, sir.
All right. So, firstly, thanks so much, sir, for the great presentation. All right. So basically, the question I'm going to ask is in relation to a certain question I was actually asked some time back. All right. And the question was that, of course, like we all know that real tech for what it is expensive. Thank you. I'm great. So real tech for what it is expensive to utilize. All right. But what are the possible advantages and disadvantages from your own perspective for small medium enterprise? What are the possible advantages of small medium enterprise adopting low code AI to scale up their processes? We all know that to a great extent they might not be able to compete with the bigger guys out there, right? And because of one, possibly the cost estimation of machineries, the cost estimation of other operation-based factors. All right. So for an emerging startup or a business or whatever sector they might be operating on, all right, what possible advantage do you think adopting low-code AI can serve to this small medium enterprise SMEs, and what possible disadvantage comes with them trying to utilize these availed tools. So just asking in respect to business and in respect to possible startups that might be around us.
Okay. Okay. Well, from my perspective, yeah, you already mentioned it might cut the cost generally. Then generally it enables them to for a startup, for instance, we already said it can cut the cost for production, and generally it can reduce the need for an expert. So this is what I mean. At times, for building a proper artificial intelligence-based system, one data science is not usually enough, or at times 2 or 3 or 4. At times you need more than 2, 3 people to build something, depending on the scale of what you need, for instance.
Yes, sir.
Now, so with no-code AI, that can be reduced, because at times, some of the projects that a small startup, for instance, might want to offer might not need an expert in that sense. For instance, there are no-code AIs that can handle e-commerce, that can help you analyze your sales, predict your sales that you need in your company, and help you to sort those things out generally and automate them for you. So for instance, you make sales and you can't keep track of what you are selling and when you need to make to restock and all these things. There are no-code AI-based systems that can handle all of that for you. Generally, before that, you need to go and, okay, how do I automate this? Or maybe you want to start taking notes. Maybe you want to get someone to build it, then you get charged. But with that, someone with probably zero technical knowledge can basically pick up a no-code AI based environment, and if it's inquisitive enough, can build something by itself. Most of those things are to be easily interpreted and understood. So you don't need to generally have okay, then you are not looking at it, how do I go about it? There's always a documentation, a lot of tutorials, and they are basically easy to use. The modules usually have titles that are very descriptive. So you enter a no-code AI platform and you are seeing something called sales management.
Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So what could be the possible disadvantages?
You generally know that, okay, how much I'm making next 10 months. You feed it your data. Okay, this is how much I have made in the past 2 years. I have been making sales of maybe per month. I make so amount of sales and all those things. Then pass data, and data can tell you, all right, based on what is this and this make certain that you are going to employ something. Then most of those no-code AI platforms, they have various things you can do with them depending on what you are using. Then, and in terms of disadvantage, one thing that comes into play is complexity. As of currently, we're looking at there are some complex things that you might want to handle that no-code AI will not be able to do for you as of now. You get so as when you are trying to build more to do more complicated features are built by data scientists and artificial intelligence engineers. So generally, with time, they'll be able to handle more complicated processes. But as of now, generally, so there's a limit to what they can do in that sense. But the good side to it is generally, if they can afford to get a data analyst or a data scientist now, rather than probably trying to employ 5 people, maybe 2, 3 people will be fine for what they need. You get then
all right
to be able to handle those processes. So you don't even necessarily need a data scientist to be handling the no-code AI processes for you. You as a personnel, not technical person, can handle it yourself.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Joseph, you have
Yes, yes. Good morning. Good morning. Wisdom, beautiful presentation. Okay, so I think you've answered most of my questions when you were answering, Elijah, but I'll still proceed to ask. So for the no-code AI, how sustainable is it? And you also mentioned that, okay, so you do not really need an expert to be able to set it up and use it for your SME, right? But the question is, even the code AI that we see in organization, in tech ecosystems, these are technologies, and that means they can experience glitch, there can be downtime and all of those things. So for the no-code AI, I want to believe it's also the same because it's been built and it's a software. So when it happens like that, and this person does not have, the technical expertise to run tests, to fix this, how do they then, solve this problem, knowing fully well that this thing is attached to providing service to customers? So how do they, run it and ensure that it doesn't affect their business? That's my question. Thank you.
All right. Wow, that's a very good question. So, well, based on my understanding, I won't say I have enough information about that, but I know and I believe that most of those platforms generally undo deployment and maintenance themselves. You understand? So, in terms of no-code AI, you are employing a service that has been built by artificial intelligence engineers or data scientists to work for non-technical people. You understand? So in most cases, I know they usually provide an option for them to manage maintenance and deployment and production for a client. Okay, so you generally might have to pay for the service. Again, you can have maybe a plan about maybe a few dollars per month or a few dollars per year. You get, then it will undo production and all those things. Since it is called a no-code AI environment and it was built for non-technical people, then I believe generally they undo most of those things by themselves. Now, in a situation where it is not done, then the person might need to employ the services of an expert for deployment and maintenance, but still it's still going to reduce the cost of production. So generally in a startup that has probably someone with the software engineering skills, or a developer, for instance, it may not necessarily be someone that works with AI. You get things like deployment and probably maintenance is one of the things they might, if they do enough research, they might be able to undo, just for instance, you get. So generally it still plays to the, it's still on a greater advantage than the disadvantage for the clients in a sense. But generally I won't say I have full knowledge of how that is handled, but that's what I believe is usually done. That the, yeah.
All right. Thank you, Wisdom. To be honest, you did justice to that question. I mean, from there, I could wrap up everything I wanted. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. All right. Any other question?
Okay. Thank you everybody for the contribution. I'm really enjoying the topic. My question is very simple. Just as a person, will you advise the company to go with no-code AI or code AI? I know it's actually based on your preference, or it's depends on what you want, but then just want to hear your opinion.
Okay. Personally, I would probably pitch both to the company anyway. Again, now if it's a large setup, I might tell them they don't need to do that. Again, why go for no-code AI currently when you can have AI engineers? So generally, I would probably tell the company that, okay, you can use no-code AI, but also have experts in your company also. You understand? Just in case. You get. But currently, it's going to be of greater advantage to have an expert than to have a non-technical person than handling those things for you. So currently, I would say you should have both. So depending on what you want to do, you can always shuffle. Okay, does this require the expert handling all of this, or you can just oversee what is going on? All right, did I answer well?
Yeah, yes, you did. Yes, you did. Thank you very much. Any other question before we round up the session?
Hello.
We have less than 4 minutes. So
Hello, this is Olaoluwa. This is Olaoluwa. We have a question from yesterday, KD. Joseph will ask a question.
okay.
Joseph,
Yeah, you can actually
there?
answer that right now, actually.
Okay.
So
So I'm actually
just a moment. Let me stop the live stream.
Okay.
Can you hear me, Ogule?
Yes, I can hear
Yeah,
you.
since it's not listening to this, yeah, let me quickly stop the live stream so
Okay.
you can go ahead.
So the question is for everybody, not just me. Say, how can the agile methodology solve the problem of the following among the agile team members: language constraints, cultural misfits, the time zone difference, and work style difference amongst team members? Okay, so I think time zone difference. I don't think we have issue with that. Just that